What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Maverick Raven coming at you with another one. And I'm sad about this video, you guys. I'm sad. I'm sad. I'm sad. I'm sad. I'm sad. I should be happy. I should be happy. Because today, in about what? In about 13 hours, give or take, I'll be able to finally play Rise of the Ronin. I've been looking forward for this game for like over a year since I heard about it. But I'm hearing some bad things about the reviews, you guys. I'm hearing some bad things. I'm hearing some bad things. We're going to check them out. If you wouldn't mind, please subscribe. It really helps me out. Do the social media thing, comment, share, subscribe, comment, like, share, all that crap, right? I think I said a share twice, but you get the point, right? So anyways, let's look at IGN's review. Let's take a look at it, and I don't know. Let's hope for the best.
Rise of the Ronin confounds me. On one hand, it's an action game with combat that's a cut above most of its peers. It takes place in an interesting historical fiction world with cool characters, it has entertaining co-op, and sports plenty of neat little flourishes that make traveling through its map, completing missions, a lot of fun. On the other hand, it's heavily weighed down by the forces of the all-game. Bloat, the stereotypical Ubisoft map with tons of icons to clear, and an outrageous amount of loot, loaded with meaningless incremental stat upgrades.
Damn, that is a lot of loot. But I mean, it says here 987 out of 2000. So that's not. Damn, bro. I don't want to be loot. I don't want to be loot or like organizing the loot like that, man. Like that's always one of the things that pisses me off about these action RPGs, dude. And it looks pretty bad in that regard.
If developer Team Ninja had used its razor-sharp katanas to cut the weaker bits that only dilute its strength, Rise of the Ronin might have become more than the sum of its parts, rather than less.
I heard a lot of people on Twitter say that this game is not as beautiful as Ghost of Tsushima. Excuse me. I don't know, man. It's pretty to look at. I've never been one of the guys that gets like, crazy about graphics, so I don't get it, I guess.
Rise of the Ronin is set in mid-19th century Japan, just after Japan is forcefully reopened to the world. Your Blade twins are kind of blank slates, letting you customize the pair in a robust character creator, and then sending you on a mission to sneak aboard the black ships from America and assassinate Commodore Matthew Perry. It's a compelling opening that quickly establishes the kind of game Rise of the Ronin is, and doesn't waste your time getting you right into the action. The story gets much grander than that, of course. You'll meet historical figures, join a pro or anti-shogunate faction, and make tough decisions during one of the most interesting eras of Japanese history, though your choices can only rewrite history so much.
Do you two happen to know this man? Could you kindly stop him bothering me?
If you have a fondness for the period, it's fun to pal around with the fictional versions of Genzui Kusaka and Sakamoto Ryoma.
We could just climb it, then go swoosh right in.
Sadly, I don't know that much about this period, but I know about the Sengoku period. That period was fun. But this is way, well, not way after that, but after that.
How does one swoosh exactly?
That said, Ronin's story is the video game equivalent of a fun popcorn movie. Enjoyable while you're watching it, but easily forgotten the moment the lights come back on several dozen hours later.
I had hoped to see you.
Damn, dude, you said it just like that, too. Fun to look at, you're going to have fun, but after it's over, it's just forgettable.
You finally come back to propose, haven't you?
Actual missions are a bit more memorable. They're either encounters you enter and complete seamlessly on the world map,
Who the hell are you?
or as standalone missions a la Ninja Gaiden or Neo, where your protagonist and a pair of followers, who you can switch to at any time, take on a unique objective like breaking a friend out of prison or assassinating a government official. The latter allows for either single player with AI teammates or co-op with two friends joining up as your allies. I much preferred these to the more standard and mostly unremarkable open world tasks.
I'm short of wood. Could you gather some for me?
And being able to play them with friends is a fantastic addition. My main complaint here is that I wish the two modes weren't so intertwined. It's a bummer to be playing with a friend and do a one-off mission, only to then have to do a couple more by yourself before you can play together again.
That is a huge turnoff, man. I thought that we were getting a 4-player co-op, and I thought that you would be able to play together co-op whenever you felt like it. Now it's, you got to advance the story and you can only play certain missions. Yeah, I can see why, man. I can see why people are saying this is not a good game now. Damn, dude. I lost my reputation already. I said it was going to be Game of the Year.
Rise of the Ronin is at its best when you're clashing its mini swords. Sure, you can wield a katana like a traditional samurai, but you can also use the quick and flashy paired swords, the massive high damage odachi, a western saber, and a lot more. I like almost all of them, but my go-to quickly became the double whammy of the oxtail sword and the greatsword, which allowed me to live out my Michelle Yeoh in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Siegfried from Soul Calibur fantasies simultaneously. Each
Siegfried, he really should be saying Guts from Berserk, because we all know that's where that came from.
weapon type comes with several fighting styles, all with their own special techniques. Styles follow a kind of rock, paper, scissors balancing structure, with a couple of exceptions. So picking the right option to beat whatever your opponent is doing will help you out considerably. The downside of this system is that some weapons benefit from it more than others. The katana has 8 combat styles to choose from, including one that's based off of Ryu Hayabusa's moveset in Ninja Gaiden, Izuna Drop, and all. But the paired swords in my beloved Oxtail sword only have 3 or 4, though what's there is excellent. The quickest way to take someone down is to choose a combat style that beats theirs and wear down their ki until they're staggered and land a critical hit that deals tons of damage. Throw in secondary weapons like bows, guns, smoke bombs, and even a flamethrower, and Rise of the Ronin gives you a lot of freedom in combat. It also manages to look and feel good while doing it, especially if you dismember your opponent with a critical hit as a grand finale. Enemies are aggressive and deadly. Even a regular run-of-the-mill dude can send you packing. If they do, you respawn at the last bonfire.
What?
I mean, Sight of Grace. I mean, Veiled Edge banner you interacted with. Minus the karma you've gained from defeating enemies.
Oh, so you lose your karma. I don't know what the hell karma's for, but that's crazy. And that was a pretty good joke. Yeah, I know. All these things are becoming like copies of Souls games. I know.
The vendetta against the enemy that killed you. If you slay him, or even land a critical hit, you'll get your karma back, creating a high-stakes duel against a worthy opponent. It's a nice change of pace from the traditional Souls-like system where you just pick things up off the ground. Without spoiling anything, yes, the boss fights are fantastic and difficult in true Team Ninja style.
We can do co-op with the bosses, man. I really hope we can. This is kind of BS. Damn it.
They move fast, force you to learn their attacks, and reward you for using advanced mechanics. You can just dodge and punish as you would in most Souls-like boss fights, but you'll be missing out. The real trick to dispatching foes is Counterspark, which works as an attack that also deflects your opponent's attacks, staggers them, and opens them up for counterattacks. The more advantageous your style is against theirs, the longer you can open an enemy up for punishment. Countersparking is risky because the window to deflect an attack feels relatively small, and you're wide open if you miss, but the potential reward is huge. Add in a grappling rope and abilities like Violent Gale or Blade Flash, which allow you to change the style mid-combo, and clean the blood off your blade after an attack to restore ki, respectively. Plus some other mechanics I don't want to spoil. And Rise of the Ronin has a lot of depth, and you'll need to mine it to win. I went through the classic stages of feeling most bosses were unfair and impossible, to feeling they were beatable if I played carefully and got a little lucky, to demolishing them, or barely scraping by, once I...
That's typical for a Souls game, for a Souls type game, Souls-like, whatever. That's typical. Where you're just like, this game is bullshitting me, it's cheap as fuck.
learn their patterns. It's an exhilarating feeling, and it never gets old.
Well, if you're intent on denying me that, then fight me instead!
Another great idea is the upgrade system, which rewards you for choosing how you want to play both in and out of combat. Each of the primary stats comes with its own skill tree, and putting points into one also boosts the stats associated with it. If I level up my Speechcraft Liar ability in the Charm tree, I also get a stat increase in Charm, which makes my weapons that scale off of that stat better. Similarly, there are side quests that increase your character bonds with the people you meet, rewarding you with additional conversations, upgrades to any styles associated with that character, and weapons, gear, and items. And then there's the Longhouse, your home away from home, where you can chat with your friends,
Oh, that dice shooter there is one fine-looking lady.
redo your character's appearance, respec your skill points, decorate, and a lot more.
I can't believe it.
Later
That seems kind of fun, right? Having a place you can customize and make your own. That's kind of fun.
on, you'll also get the ability to go back in time via a book called The Testament of Souls and redo missions from earlier in the story, make new choices that can
that's
alter the
sweet.
present, and finish up any stuff on the map you may have missed. It's genuinely one of the best systems I've ever seen in a game like this.
I don't know if you noticed, but it started at 1859 and you went all the way down to 1853. That's the start of the game, I guess. But apparently this is going to span years and years and years. That's pretty cool.
Because you can advance the story, which takes place over several years and across several different maps, without worrying that you've missed something by crossing a point of no return. It's also cool that you
Just call me Captain Obvious, right?
can see what happens if you let a certain character live or side with a different faction without a whole new playthrough. I just wish everything else worked as well as these systems do. The entire package feels as overstuffed as the loot pinata enemies, who are always dropping mostly useless gear. If you're not
Hey.
constantly in your menus getting rid of it, you're likely to end up holding several hundred weapons, armor pieces, and items by the end of a few missions. Team Ninja tries to alleviate this by letting you upgrade items you like and disassembling ones you don't for parts, but it doesn't work well enough to hold back the avalanche of largely pointless stuff that is constantly getting thrown at you. Even the side activities are poisoned by the loot overdose. To be very clear, I love finding cats because you get a cute little scene with them, and interacting with the pilgrim dogs, who I would gladly die for, is adorable on its own.
I'm not co-signing that. That is a good-looking dog, though. Looks like a really big Shiba Inu or maybe an Akita Inu, whatever.
I like the photography missions, getting skill points for finding shrines, the shooting gallery minigame, visiting real-life landmarks, and even developing new technology with inventor Higasaichi Izuka.
You must have the inventor's spirit.
It's not that any of these things are bad per se, but when the reward is even more loot or filling up another reputation meter, I just wasn't interested after a while.
Please accept this as a token of my gratitude.
I don't know how I'm going to feel about it. I mean, let's be honest. It comes kind of with, it's par for the course, right? For these action RPGs to be just stuffed to the brim with loot. So I don't know. I feel like I'm going to enjoy it, but obviously IGN is not giving it a favorable review right now. It's kind of going ham on this, right?
To be fair, these tasks are mostly optional unless you need to grind levels, but they all seem tedious next to using your grappling hook to scale a rooftop and assassinate somebody, or scaling a tower with your buddies and whooshing into a walled prison on your glider.
Look at me! I flew like a bird!
Rise of the Ronin marries a cool historical setting, Team Ninja's mastery of tough but fair combat, and some smart RPG design to make a game that is immediately compelling and fun with friends. It's full of cool little touches, whether it's throwing something at an enemy with your grappling rope or dropping from your glider onto your horse. Unfortunately, it's also a game full of map clutter, bloated
cool.
systems, and a truly absurd amount of junk loot. Rise of the Ronin is excellent when it has the courage to be itself and lean into the challenging, rewarding fighting. Too often, however, it feels stuck in indecision, torn between being what it wants to be and what it feels it's expected to be. And not even the best samurai can overcome that. For more, check out our
Damn.
reviews of Dragon's Dogma 2 and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And for
Well, let me tell you guys something. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I heard, is an amazing game. And Dragon's Dogma 2, I heard, is going to be an amazing game. But if they've got reviews of that, I definitely am going to check that out. Damn, dude. A 7. And then here on GameSpot, they gave it, I think, a 7 too. Let me see.
Several hours to get good, my immediate feeling is that I will never play that game. Who has hours to waste waiting for the good part of anything when there are so many other games to play? But my opinion of Rise of the Ronin changed drastically over the course of my 50-hour playtime. In the first 5 or 10 hours, I didn't really like it. By the end, I was planning to dive back in to clear out side quests and replay key moments to see how the story might change. It's a game that takes its time getting good, but once it finds its footing in samurai sword duels and character-focused missions, your investment pays off.
Okay. So let's 50 hours you played. Let's kind of skip all this and let's see what the verdict is.
These folks by completing side missions that flesh out their stories and engaging in conversations or giving them gifts. Building stronger bonds unlocks new fighting styles as well as passive bonuses when you bring them on missions. But the most interesting part is the way each character's individual stories expand across missions and add to the overall narrative. The characters are all well drawn, dealing with their own principles and motivations, and their stories are worth experiencing on their own. Having personal ties to all these characters makes the overall story a lot deeper. Rise of the Ronin tells a fictionalized version of the historical end of the shogunate and the samurai lifestyle in the 1860s, with the characters and events you're engaged with eventually pushing Japan towards civil war and your own principles and relationships causing you to switch sides numerous times. That means a character you brought as an ally on one mission might be a boss you have to face down in another, and your connection to all of Rise of the Ronin's characters does a lot to raise the stakes and make the entire narrative feel personally important. So while Rise of the Ronin has some elements that can frustrate or require some investment to make sense of, and weaker elements like some open world design that comes off as dated or some repetition in level design, it does a great job of getting you invested in what's going on and the people involved. Bond missions in particular are a standout, but a mix of personal stakes and large-scale politics make the historical story compelling all the way through. The longer you play
I'm seeing a lot of cool costumes too, man. A lot of cool costumes.
Rise of the Ronin, the more characters you meet and spend time with, and the more you learn about its combat and its world, the better it becomes. And while it took a while to find the rhythm of Rise of the Ronin's combat, its speed, complexity, and intensity make for some phenomenal fights that always feel great to win. Rise of the Ronin is a game that might take a bit to get good, but the commitment is worth it.
3 centuries ago, Japan was unified under the Tokugawa
Jeez.
shogunate.
Another 7 out of 10.
It closed its doors to the rest of the world. For a time, the island nation...
Another 7 out of 10, yeah. Alright, guys, there you have it. Another 7 out of 10. Wow. Yeah, man, I don't know. I'm kind of bummed out. I'm going to check it out for myself, and I'll let you guys know in about 12 hours and 23 minutes. I'll put up a review of my own, and we'll see what it's like after a few hours. I gotta give it a few hours of playtime at least, and I'll do like an initial hands-on review type thing. But anyways, yeah, man, do that social media thing for me. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, please. You really help me out. Join the flock. The water is warm. For now, be safe, be good to one another, and stay based.